Okay, welcome everyone to a very special masterclass, the journey to building a scalable and sustainable 8-figure coaching business. And with me here today is Gus Van Dender, CEO and founder of Jurni. That's Jurni, a SaaS platform that creates hyper-engaged communities for coaches and their clients who care about one thing and one thing only: getting results. Born and raised in Belgium and currently residing in Seattle, Gus was trained as a product development engineer and has focused his entire 26-year-long career on leveraging technology to build better experiences for all people involved. He's run change management projects for Fortune 100 companies, as well as being at the helm of small to medium-sized businesses in the role of CEO, board member, and executive. Gus is on a mission to radically change how we educate adults and children around the world. Welcome, Gus.
Thank you, Keon. Thank you for that introduction.
No,
when I hear you say that, it's interesting to kind of roll back the movie and everything that has happened.
No, I'm very excited to spend some time with you. And
yes,
we haven't exactly figured out how long this is going to be, but as long as it's going to take, could be 3-4 hours to get into what we want to cover, which is a lot. And we're going to be covering not just your incredible journey with a very well-known entrepreneur, the Wake Up Warrior mission, where you took them from 7 figures to multiple 8 figures in the span of a year or two. You'll tell us exactly the timeframes of everything. But it was an incredible transformation, you could say. They were doing phenomenal. But in terms of hyper-engaged communities and so on, you led that, which is quite, it's fascinating. And when I first heard about it, I said, I've got to connect with you. And here I am. And we're going to get into, obviously, a bit more about the framework you've developed around this particular coaching methodology and this whole SaaS platform that you're developing right now. Will be releasing later this year. And a couple more case studies. Like people, oh yes, Garrett J. White. Yeah, he's pretty famous and he's already at multiple 7 figures. What about if I'm just making 30, 40, 50,000 a month and I want to go to 7 figures? Can you help me? And you'll have some case studies of those different scenarios as well, correct?
Yep.
So that'll be great. And
it's actually easier.
We'll see, as they say.
Yes.
One of the things that really fascinates me is this current platform called Workplace, which I had not come across. And if you've heard of Slack, I've been using Slack. Facebook developed a Slack killer. And they wanted to create their own collaborative tool for large companies, and it's called workplace.com. And that's something that we'll be talking about as well, and how it's helped transform so many businesses, and how your SaaS platform is going to take it to the next level as well.
Yep.
So let's get straight into it. I saw you on your Facebook ad, and you were being interviewed, or you were interviewing, interviewing each other with Garrett J. White of Wake Up Warrior. He's created this phenomenal movement of thousands, tens of thousands of men and women now who are, getting amazing transformations in very short periods of time. Tell us a bit about that journey. How you took Garrett from multiple 7 to tens of millions in such a short period of time. How did you get connected with him?
Yeah, it's actually a very interesting story. I actually started as a client. And 2014, I found myself needing somebody like Garrett to mentor me and help me out of the mess that I had created, right? And a lot of entrepreneurs go through this, where if there's no real drive and passion to what you're trying to build, and it's just about money, which it was for me for a long, long time, that actually drove me to moving to the United States. So then here I am finding myself in a place where I destroyed my marriage. I destroyed my businesses, my relationships, my kids. I mean, it's just, I became a student of Warrior. It was something that I needed at that time. And it also radically changed my life. And not just personally, but also in what I'm doing today, right? Because that was also my first interaction with a coach, with a community, or the lack thereof, and all the knowledge that I had gathered from the years prior working in, let's call it traditional business. I was able to almost take all of that and place it into, okay, how can we apply this to a coaching business?
Mm-hmm.
Because here's the thing, right, Kian? A lot of people don't build a coaching business. They deliver a coaching program. And there's a big difference in that.
Mm.
Delivering a coaching program is, I have something transformational that I'm going to take you through and we're done. Creating a business is something different.
Mm.
And that was kind of the first conversation that I had with Garrett was, okay, Garrett, you want to grow. So he had two asks, two things that he wanted to accomplish. One, his offer at the time was very exclusive, very expensive. Mm-hmm. Very few men were willing to make that investment in themselves, even though, right, it's $10,000 for Warrior Week. That's a big investment, because at that time, his funnel was very simple. It was an ad to a VSL. It wasn't called a VSL then, but it was a VSL. And then it was an invitation to apply for Warrior Week. Sure. When you applied and you got approved, you get on the call with Sam Falsafi, and he would close you on the phone and ask you for your credit card.
Yeah, it was. I remember that funnel. I remember that launch, and it was groundbreaking. Even though it was, as you said, simple, quote unquote, simple. The marketing was phenomenal, right? It was documentary. He was, sales-umentary, as Jeremy Finlay talks about it in his new company. But
yes,
it was cinematic. It was Hollywood style, documentary. And that's my background, making, documentaries and films and stuff and social media videos. But that really stood out.
Yes.
And
absolutely.
So they had no problem, obviously, getting people in. It was so unique, and it was, this teaser, really, this 1 hour documentary or 30-minute version or whatever. They had multiple versions, I think, was so compelling that you wanted to be part of this experience, this movement.
Yep, exactly. But that was the problem.
I was going to get to that. What was the challenge for them then, I guess?
Yeah, so they were super successful building that and getting people in, taking them through an experience, and then what, right? There was kind of we called it Empire. There was like a quarterly event, and that was working, but it wasn't scalable, right? So he was delivering what I call a coaching program. And I did it really well, right up to 7 figures. So multiple 7 figures when we started working on this. But there was still no community. There was no continuation program. There was no, it was very different. We were using Voxer and we were using Excel spreadsheets, and Garrett had started building a software platform. And in the interview, if you have watched it, he talks about that, how much money he spent on trying to build something, and he just couldn't figure it out. Like, it was, he felt like something was missing, but he couldn't put his finger on it and figure out what is it that we have to build, and what is it really that these men that can't afford or are not willing to spend the $10,000 to go to Warrior Week, what can we do? So back to what I said earlier, there was 2 objectives. There was one, we want to get more men into our community, because at the time we were at about 300 active users, active men who had gone through Warrior Week and were still in the Empire quarterly event kind of thing, right? And Garrett had this vision that by the end of the year, he wanted 5,000 members. So that in itself was a big, tall order. And how do you go from 300 to 5,000 in 1 year? But when he told me, I was like, yeah, we can do that. let's figure that out, right? And then the kind of an underlying objective was also, how can we sell more Warrior Week? How can we change this funnel a little bit, where we create something that gives these men the opportunity to build the confidence in themselves to then say, yes, I'm ready for Warrior Week. Because here's something I've learned, and this is probably the first lesson that we can kind of frame as, hey, this is super valuable. If you take only this out of this masterclass, you're going to radically change how you sell your coaching program. Here's one thing I learned. When somebody gets on a call with you, right, or whatever it is, when they get to the end of the funnel, they've taken all the steps that you have laid out for them, and then they say no, 95% of the time, it is not because of you or your program. It's because that prospect does not have the confidence, the self-confidence, and the belief that they are going to get the results that they know are embedded in the coaching program that you're going to deliver. So think about this, right? Let that sink in.
So it's their self-confidence, whether they actually can get the results. It's not about you delivering it.
No, they're going to say no, and they're going to come up with objections, and they're going to say, hey, I got to talk to my wife about it. I don't have the money, whatever it is, whatever these objections are, they're going to give you those objections because they don't believe in themselves. Right. And that was part of what we solved by creating, and a lot of people are going to call this a downsell, right? I don't call it a downsell. It's the warm up, it's the basic training, it's the thing that you create for them that has a lower barrier of entry, and that allows them to build the confidence to, at the end, after 30 days, 90 days, whatever it is, to then say, yeah, I'm ready. I believe in myself. I will invest $5,000. I will invest $10,000 in this program because I believe I can do this too now, right? So often I use very different terminology than what you're going to hear in the marketplace, because I think that's part of the problem. Everybody talks about downsells and value ladders and all these things. I've flipped all these things around. So when I say these things, maybe Keon, if you hear that, ask a question specifically about it, because for me, it's become a new language, right? So the downsell for me is usually something. It's an opportunity to get rid of that lack of self-confidence. That's all it is.
Okay. So that, when you started this with Garrett, what year, bring us back? It was this back?
Yeah, 2018.
Was when you launched was it a 30-day challenge? What was in fact, you said you were one of the first to create these challenges or 30 days.
Yeah, there was no such thing as a challenge. Now it's a common thing. Everybody's doing challenges, right?
They're doing 5, 7. Some are doing 20 or 30-day challenges. The hot thing was go high ticket. Go straight to a webinar, to your high ticket discovery strategy call, sales call, whatever you want to call it. I think people have been bombarded with that, and then a lot of people moving towards these challenges as a way to warm people up.
Yep, exactly.
I mean, actually, Google did a study. I was talking to Daniel Priestley of Key Persons of Influence back in, I think, 2013 or 11. Google did a study that showed the 7-hour rule. People, before they make high ticket purchases, they generally need around, this is some average, 7 hours.
Yep.
So
it makes sense.
That, and 4 touch points minimum, or whatever, 4 to 6, you can Google it and see what the exact numbers are, but this makes sense, right? By having a multi-day experience.
Exactly. Yep. Exactly.
30 days is, I did my first challenge last year. I thought, let's just do a 7 days. And I wasn't sure whether, should I do a 21-day video challenge like Peng Joon did, or these 30 days. Why did you pick 30? And then sometimes it's 42 on, Garrett's still running these challenges, and they're sometimes 42, sometimes 30. Why did you pick 30 in particular? I'm curious.
Yep. Yep. Well, it goes back to what I just said, right? Why did we do that? What was the purpose and what was the objective? If you're, let's say, going back to your question, should it be 7, 14, 30, 60? If you think about what I just said about why we're doing this, and it's because we want to build the confidence for your prospect to then say yes to your core offer, then it's going to reveal itself how long it needs to be.
It's dependent on what is your core offer. And I guess in this case, you really wanted people to have at least a decent amount of time to develop that self-confidence. Yep. Actually, let's use, Garrett's Wake Up Warrior as an example, right? Because you mentioned that you were on the brink of destroying your marriage and so on and so forth. How did it transform you? Like this, in terms of was it 30 or 42 days or whatever, whenever you experienced it, what was the experience that you created, I guess, for Garrett's, customers who didn't have to go straight into the 10K program, but to the $100, whatever it was back then as well, 30-day challenge. What was transformational about what you did?
So Wake Up Warrior is all about stop lying to yourself, right? And coming to grips with the fact that you're not perfect and that you're not alone. And there's a couple of aspects inside of that make you see your life and yourself and your relationships and what you're after and what you're trying to accomplish from a completely different perspective. That's kind of the core of it. And we do that in Body, Being, Balance, and Business, four levels, right? So when Jeremy and I and Garrett, Jeremy and I were kind of thinking about this, we called it King's Kit. Right. King's Kit.
Just to clarify for those listening, Jeremy Finlay was the CMO, right? He was the chief marketing.
Yes.
Did all the amazing,
brilliant man.
It was this next level.
And, absolutely.
He was so the three of you guys. Sorry, continue. Created King's Kit.
We created King's Kit. So and it was 30 days because we broke it up into four sections, right? And every week we would do a transformational exercise inside of each area. And that's why it was 30 days, because we wanted to show the men that they could create a transformation in their lives in a very short amount of time.
How many hours or minutes a day would you require people to get engaged or go through the course material, right? It's always that.
Yeah, very good question.
Because bombard people with too much, too little. What's the magic sauce for you guys anyway?
Yeah, that is one of the major problems with a lot of coaching programs is that we forget that our students or clients have lives, right? And that was a bit of a challenge too with Wake Up Warrior, is that Garrett wanted to do more because he wanted to over deliver and give more exercises and more, but we kind of slimmed it down. We were able to do one call a week, right? A group call where we would talk about the assignment for the week, right? And some education on what it then was that they had to consume or they had to do. And then we gave them one assignment for the week. We had daily videos, very short videos.
Like how long roughly?
2-3 minutes.
Okay. So that's from Garrett himself, priming.
Yes.
Reframing. And what were these assignments, for example? Body, Being, Balance, and what was the one I missed? Business, right? So business, mind, body, spirit, family, faith, finances, all that good stuff, right? All the health, wealth, love, happiness. So what was the assignment for the first week?
Yep. For one assignment was around balance, right? Relationships. And we asked the men, this was actually there was a weekend exercise as well. This was a weekend exercise where we asked the men to collect things around the house that they were holding onto that had an emotional charge. And they had to do a funeral, put it all in a box, bury it in the backyard, and have your family with you and tell them why you're doing this. So imagine doing that, right? You're like, your wife is like, what the hell is happening? Like, why are you doing this?
Give me an example. What did you do? That.
Well, I didn't do King's Skate myself.
Okay, you did King's Skate. Okay.
I went straight into Warrior Week.
You went straight into the 10K. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
So okay. So give an example. So you would take things that you had emotional hang-up baggage around.
A bottle of whiskey,
okay,
cigars.
Okay. Things that you know that was impacting your relationship.
Yeah. That things that you spent a lot of time with or on, video games or porn magazines or whatever it was, right? Things that you recognize as, hey, this is actually interfering with me being present and building a strong relationship with my kids, my wife.
Very practical, very experiential. Okay,
Yep.
I get it. So you're doing that for things like balance and then for business, what was some of the tasks, that people needed to do during the week?
Yeah. So there was only one assignment, or two a week assignment and a weekend assignment, and there was one, and we switched them up too. We did King's Skate 7 times, right? So there was one was what then turned into a gap map, where you're like, okay, where do I want to be in my business in 90 days? And this was already preparing them for the next level.
Got it. Pre-framing them to.
Yeah. Where do I want to be? Where am I? What's the gap? What do I need to do to overcome that? And this actually brings up a good point, Keon, if I may go back a little bit to this challenge. Even though we sold King's Skate, right? And this is part of, I'll get into that later when we talk about the Jurni framework, right? The coaching business framework.
Yes.
You always want to sell your prospect on almost the end point, something that is unattainable today, something that is a huge promise, right? But then you want to take that away immediately and say, look, in order to get here, there's a whole path to get there. Because this is the problem that I see with challenges today. You sell me a 30-day challenge, I pay for a 30-day challenge, and I'm done after 30 days. Now you got to sell me again.
Yeah.
If I sell you on this thing, this elusive thing that one day you may be part of, and then I take it away from you, because I'm going to sell you on it to the point where you say, yes, I want that, Gus. I want to be in this community. And then you take it away and you say, you got to do this first 30 days of basic training. This drives engagement. This drives participation. This drives everything that you want, and that is typically lacking in challenges. You're going to get that automatically because people want this at the end, right? And that was part of what we built inside of Warrior too. Ultimately, we were talking about a big event in San Diego at the end of the year, and then Warrior Week, and it was always future pacing towards something bigger. Very, very important to keep that in mind when you design that journey for your clients, and keeping in mind that challenge is designed to build their confidence, but also to never forget to sell something that is much bigger than that. So you don't have that upsell problem at the end.
It's a natural ascension. So
yeah, it's almost assumed that they're going to continue.
So you took them from go straight to a 10K offer to, was it $100 roughly?
$100 for 30 days.
30 days.
Yep.
And I can see how, you created this very powerful experience in the 4 areas. So people would on average spend what, 2-3 minutes watching a video, doing some assignments. Once they have certain breakthroughs, I'd imagine they do a video, they share about it. They're very open. They share all the crap that's, how to they're being truthful, right? I've always done this. And I can see it's very, it could be very, what's the word? They're very healing for a lot of people.
Yes. Yeah. And that's where workplace came in, right? That was,
Okay, let's get into that, because
yeah.
in
That's a
that
great
interview that I
segue.
saw, he was joking about, I was spending hundreds of thousands of dollars trying to figure out how to develop this app or whatever he wanted to create, and it was already done through Workplace. So tell us a bit about Workplace and how, I think you were working directly with Facebook, I believe. So tell us a bit about that and how you brought it in.
That actually happened afterwards. Facebook contacted me to help them because they saw what I was doing with their platform, and nobody else had ever used it that way.
Okay,
right? So
that's a really good context, because it was normally used for big Fortune 500 companies.
Yeah.
To drive hyper engagement amongst the employees.
Yeah. The way Workplace was developed or created was internally, right? When Facebook was growing like crazy, and they had offices all over the world, and they're opening up all these offices, and they're all scattered. They were looking for a tool that would allow them to communicate and create or maintain that community aspect. And one of the programmers, so the story goes, says, well, we have Facebook. Why don't we create a copy of Facebook and use that for internal purposes with the same features and functionality?
It's just it's like, hello, it's like you just created the most, hyper engaged community in the world called Facebook. Yeah, exactly. Why don't you create a private version for companies? Right?
Yeah. So they built it for themselves. Then they figured, hey, we can actually sell this to companies, and they started attracting, Fortune 500, Fortune 100 companies. Did a couple pilots, and it worked, right?
Yeah.
So when I found it, I was like, this is what I need to build a community of 5,000 people.
Wow. So you were probably one of the first, if not the first, to bring this into the coaching consulting world.
I'm still the only one. Yeah. Nobody else is doing it.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm the first to hear it. I'm not that I've, heard about everything, but this is certainly had a few years in the coaching world. But interesting. So, I mean, I think we're always wondering whether Facebook would ever charge us $1 or $2 a month or something to use their service. And thank goodness they didn't. But they built how's this different from groups, right? Just like, we've already got groups. It's private. What's
Well, there's a couple things that you don't have, or there's a couple problems with Facebook groups, right? One, you have one group, and you have to manage that one group separately, right? If you have 3 or 4 different programs, now you need 5 different groups. Yeah. How do you manage all of that? That's a problem. Where Workplace, same functionality, no training, people know how to use it. You can have 20 groups in there. You can make them invisible or visible. So guess what happens? You start upselling your own programs inside a Workplace. Right. So somebody who comes into your 30-day trial or your challenge, you will show them your mastermind group, but they can't access it because it's secret. Right. So now you have one place where you manage all your different groups.
Very interesting.
So that's number one.
It's free for 30 days. No, it's not. Is it?
It's free for 30 days, and then it's $4 per user.
Okay, it is free for 30 days. So
yes.
And it is only $4 a month per user.
Yes.
So, considering, if you're going to charge $100 for your challenge, is no big deal, right?
Well, actually, what happens, and what I've done with a lot of clients, is we take people from the free Facebook group.
Yeah, it's free.
But then we bring them to Workplace and say, to be here in this exclusive group, this private group where there's no distractions, it's only my content that you're seeing, we're going to charge you $10 a month. And people are more than happy to pay that. Yeah. Right. Because it is exclusive. There's no distractions. And that's another problem with Facebook is when I go to your Facebook group, most likely within 5 minutes, I'm like down the rabbit hole. Distraction. Right. And I'm checking my messenger messages and I'm watching cat videos and whatever. I'm not a cat person.
One thing you mentioned is 100% of your posts you don't pay to play anymore, right? It's like now when you post inside Facebook groups, your reach is what, 30%?
30%, yeah, max.
Going down. But here,
100%.
Back with the good old days.
100%. Every single person in that group sees your post. You can make it important, so then they get an email with a notification that there's an important post.
Okay.
And those are all the things that drive engagement, right?
Yeah.
One day when they go to workplace, when they go to your workplace, because they look at it as yours, right? It's your network. They don't think about, oh, this is another Facebook.
Is it private labeled? No, it's obviously workplace, but yeah.
Yeah. Now for Warrior, it was great because it's a W, right? So everybody thought it was our own.
Anyway.
But because of the sheer fact that you go to a different app, it becomes exclusive, it becomes private. People share a lot more. Yeah. It's not Facebook, right? They feel safer. They feel
I love it.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal that it was just only a few bucks a month. That was the first time I heard about it just, recently. So
yeah. And another benefit that I always point out too is that people can't target your groups when they run ads, because on Facebook we can. Right?
Yep.
I can target any coach's groups and serve ads to those people.
Yep.
In workplace doesn't exist. You can't do that.
Sure.
But on the other, you can run ads inside of your own workplace environment.
Okay, you can run ads. Okay, cool.
Well, yeah, it's your environment. You can do whatever you want.
Well, you get 100% engagement.
Delivery.
Yeah, delivery anyway. So you don't have to pay for it. You just put your ad,
Yeah,
people
exactly.
You can get sponsorship or whatever.
Yep.
So, workplace. What other? You could do video streaming. You can do all the normal stuff. Can you integrate
everything?
Can you integrate Zoom into workplace?
Yep.
Okay.
All the integrations and we did one day. We were at an event. We had somebody. Garrett was standing on stage. We had the screen behind him on a Zoom call.
Yep.
And we brought that person from their home into the room on the screen. It kind of sounds simple, but it's not. You probably know what the technical challenges are in doing that. And all of that was happening inside of workplace at the same time, so people at home could also see this.
Neat.
It was pretty incredible.
Okay.
So it's a powerful tool for sure.
Yeah. And then but you took it to the next level, right? So the platform for bots, right? So we've all heard of ManyChat, etc.
Yeah.
Well, most of us here, I'm sure, have used it. Bots with messengers, inside Messenger, Facebook, etc. But within workplace, there's only, you said, is it 2 or 3 approved vendors created ManyChat type functionality where you can integrate. One of them being
the bot platform.
The bot platform, right? So you helped Garrett integrate this, and this was one of the key secret sources to help getting hyper engagement, right? So tell us about this, because with this super engaged community, people that had amazing experience, transformational, and then the obvious upsell. Let's get to the numbers, right? And we'll get back to the implementation because we want to get what did it do? You said you had, for every 100 people who joined the challenge, what percentage upgraded because of that experience using this bot platform with workplace? You had like 50% were upgrading. I mean, that is unbelievable. 50% into not the 10,000, but the 500 a month.
500 a month. Yeah.
Okay, so let's look at the model. So you said let's break it down to the 30-day experience, get amazing results, build that know, like, and trust factor to that level, and then the next step wasn't to quickly jump to the 10K, but to a 90-day challenge, effectively for 500 a month. Correct?
Yeah. So we went from 100 to 1,500.
1,500. And then at the end of that, it was that when you pitched the 10K?
No, we created an event. Our plan was to do a big event at the end of the year with 3,000 people.
Okay.
And at the event, we pitched Warrior
The
Week.
10K. Okay, so you did the full, and then events are super powerful. Obviously, you know, right now we can't run mega events just yet, but you could do virtual events, right? You could
Yes.
theoretically still do a huge virtual event and then pitch. So,
Yes.
you know, if you look at what, you know, I was involved with Tony's virtual event. We did the videos, some of the videos for his UPW virtual. We had 300,000 people. So I was working with Success Resources, who are the main marketing partners for Tony outside of the US. So we actually did UPW London, 10,000 people in 2019. And then we were called back. We did the whole digital campaign, sold thousands of tickets to that event, did the videos, the branding, everything. But then COVID hit, and then we had to go completely virtual. So what we did, which is kind of similar, I mean, obviously they knew what Garrett had done and others had done before. We moved from, you know, basically pitching what we used to do in 2019 was, hey, Tony's coming to town, London, buy your ticket for $1,000 to $5,000 or whatever it was, right? Pounds. But now we offered a 7-day free challenge, right? Tony had this 7-day, you've all probably heard about it. We had hundreds of thousands of people attend. And from that, we pitched the UPW, which was only roughly $300-400 US, right? Depending on, so it wasn't the usual $1,000 because, you know, it's virtual and not quite the same experience. And then inside UPW, you know, there was Date with Destiny, the Platinum program, which is 100,000, right? And you got all these other programs that were pitched. So it's just really following the right ladder, really, in many ways.
Yep.
So you guys had 50% conversion to a 90-day challenge. What was that 90-day challenge? Was it more of the same inside workplace, but in a different workplace group, I presume, obviously? Yep. And how was that experience different from the 30-day challenge?
Yeah. So the 30-day challenge was really to teach them all the basic principles and teach them the tools that they were then going to use. And even though the 90-day challenge was framed as, hey, it's gonna take you 90 days to get to your targets, it was sold as a monthly subscription. Right. So again, very important that you don't put yourself in a box where after 90 days, now you got to sell them again. Right. So even though it was called a 90-day challenge, it was a monthly subscription to be part of the brotherhood.
Got it.
Right. And only the people in the brotherhood were allowed to come to the event at the end of the year.
Got it.
Right? So we were, like I said, we're constantly future pacing. We're always talking about the next thing that you're going to be part of, but you can't unless you continue the journey. So, and I'll get into that a little bit later, but I don't use value ladders. I use lanes.
Lanes.
Very, very lanes. Yeah.
I like it.
So very, very different concept where the end point is the same, you just have different lanes. A faster one, a slower one, a cheaper one, right? So, but ultimately you get to the same end point.
Yep.
And we'll dive into that a little bit deeper at a later point. So your question was around the bots, right? How did we deploy them and how did we use them to, you know, all the way from the start until the pitch at the event, we used messenger bots.
Okay.
So ManyChat is a very good comparison, but it's not even close to what you can do with these messenger bots. And again, I'd say Jeremy and I both, we were like pushing these bots to the max, like to the limit. He would put in video and audio inside of them, and part of the amazing experience that we created for 30 days was every day they would get a message from Garrett, from myself, from Jeremy, from Coach Sam, but it wasn't us, it was automated.
Yeah.
Because the messenger bots that we create actually have a profile picture, right? So I can create a bot version of myself, create an entire conversation, with questions and answers and videos and audios and what have you, and deliver that, broadcast it at a certain time of the day, or a drip campaign, or you name it, right?
Wow.
So the experience was enhanced by the messenger bots in the sense that we would deliver every day. The guys would get a message, whether it was just to check in, how are you doing? Here's a little audio from Jeremy.
Yeah.
Or, hey, here's the link to your video that you have to watch today, and here's your assignment.
I mean, just this alone is gold. I mean, I just like you, I've signed, I don't know how many dozens of coaching programs over the 20 plus years I've been an entrepreneur, but I don't recall anyone where I've signed up. These are multiple thousand. These I've spent, 10, 20,000 just for one coaching program, right? Masterminds or whatever. And I've never had that level of engagement where every day there's something interacting with you even in Messenger. No one's even bothered. They just use ManyChat to get you into the funnel, but they don't even think about the experience. I'll be lucky to get even a phone call after dropping 20K into a program, if I haven't turned up in a while, if not months, right? So yeah, the focus is on the experience, which
100%, always for me, like that I
think
there's nothing else.
I think people come in from an internet marketing point of view and they forget about product development and product experience, which is your 20 odd years of experience. So you had this, are we talking about, you said every day you would get a message from quote unquote Garrett. It's not really him. It looks like him and it talks like him. But you've just pre-recorded these dozens of messages, right? In audio, video, and chat, text format. So you just map this all out so that
here's a little secret. Here's a little secret, Keon. When we launched the first 30-day challenge, it wasn't called a challenge. We launched Kingskit for the first time. We had day one ready.
Okay.
And on day one, we built day two.
Day two. Okay.
On day two, we built day three. And
got it.
And this was crazy, right? But
that's
it's
the way
also,
to do it. Yeah, it's brilliant.
It's the way to do it. Really.
It's always lean start.
Exactly. And the feedback that we were getting on day one helped us deliver.
No, it's brilliant. Just in time.
It was
it's genius. So
it was stressful, but
I can imagine.
It was the best way.
So let's clarify. You literally had 3 or 4 people engaging every day. Like you would say, is this maybe day one, it would be just Garrett. Day 2, maybe Jeremy would pitch in a little bit. Day 3, you wasn't like all 4 people. That'd be a bit over.
No, one a day. Yeah.
One person a day so you would create a 2-3 minute video, maybe audio, and ask a few questions, gamify, which is a fundamental part of creating hyper engagement. Obviously, love games. Who doesn't love games? So you were like, hey, have you done your exercise for today? Right.
Yep.
And if you had, how many points would that be? And then you would take that answer of how many points and you would zap it or whatever to a spreadsheet. So you would gamify the whole process for the entire community. Is that correct?
Yep. Absolutely.
It's genius.
Yeah. Well, that happened in the 90-day challenge because we elaborated on all of that.
Okay.
But yeah, in Kingskit, the first 30 days we used it mainly for driving the engagement to consume the content, then also announcements. Hey, we're going live in an hour. Make sure you join the Zoom call, right? Things like that. Very, very simple because we didn't want to overwhelm them. The gamification that you're talking about happened in the 90-day program.
Let's not overwhelm people and think they have to do all this in the 30 days.
Yeah, no.
let's kind of like backtrack because I'm trying to hack, right? And whoever's listening will try to hack this. So during the week, there'll be one call a week, right? One group call. Go for half an hour, 1 hour, roughly.
It was planned for 90 minutes, but we went over sometimes.
Okay, that's fine. That's good. That's good, right?
And you would have loved that, Keon. It was like a full production. We had a studio. And
Garrett's stuff.
We had the green screen, but the cool thing about these calls was that we made it about the students.
Yeah, you don't have to do all that if you've already, you've got the moolah to set up your dream studio. Why not, right? So you
Yeah.
once a week you get into setting the stage for the whole week, and every day there would be a short 2-3 minute video that would be on topic, and little bots would also say, hey, have you done your work yet? How's it going? A little bit of engagement there. And then was there curriculum? Was there, in addition to the 2 to 3 minutes, I think there's a book, isn't there? Isn't there an audio book that Garrett created for the challenge that you would need to listen?
Yeah, was that we have a thick warrior book that was part of the when you signed up. Yeah, when you signed up for the challenge, that book was included. It
was included. So the audio you could buy, you would upsell if you want to buy the physical book. But if you just say got the audio, which comes standard, I presume, right? So was part of the quote unquote homework, listen to 10, 20 minutes a day? How much work did people need to get put in, I guess, before that 30-day experience became so phenomenal that 50% would upgrade to $500 a month or whatever?
Yeah, I'm guessing.
Just on average, just kind of.
Yeah, like I would say about 2 hours a week.
Okay, 2 hours a week of listening to training or doing exercises, or So we're talking roughly 20 minutes a day.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So it's not, some of these challenges are like 1 hour a day, 90 minutes a day, and it can, you could easily don't have to
too much.
Too much.
Yeah.
But 15, 20 minutes a day. Yeah. And so if you do the math, 2 hours a week, that's 8 hours, which is the 7-hour rule, right? The Google, right? It's brilliant.
Yeah. That's
and it's super sticky as well, right? So I get it. And okay, brilliant. So once you incorporated this bot platform technology, and it's not cheap like ManyChat. Let's just be clear. It's like minimum $600-700 a month to deploy, and that will give you 100 users or
500.
Sorry, 500 users. There's only $1 effectively per user.
$1.20 per user.
Okay, so it's still quite not too bad, so long as you've got those type of numbers.
Oh, it's so worth it.
yeah, it's a no-brainer. So that's the bot platform. The results. Let's get to results. I believe you said initial launch spend was like 140,000, and you generate 200,000 on the front end on the $100.
Yes.
But then, you had 2,000. Was it 200,000? You had 2,000 people join the challenge, right? And you said 50%.
Within 6 months, we had 6,000 people.
That is it on the 500 a month. You do the math. That's 3
million
a month. But in the initial stage, when you're running, how often were you running these challenges?
Once a month.
Once a month, just nonstop, because it's all automated, right? So it's like
after we did. Yeah, sorry to interrupt, but the only thing we did was reshoot some videos and tweak a couple things, and then of course I was like a kid in the candy store. I had so many people to test things with, and there's so many little details and intricacies that about what I did to build this community. Like there were small groups of 7, right? Everybody was in a cohort, and when the community got bigger, I mean, we ran this thing with a team of 12. That includes the studio, and that includes the event team.
Okay. So all right, just to clarify, so you had little pods of 7 people for the students?
Yes. Yep.
So when they joined the challenge, they would be allocated to a group of 7 within the workplace?
Yeah. So what I was getting at, I could test all of this, right? I tried 5, I tried 12, I tried 7, and 7 was the best number. Right?
It's one of the best numbers for masterminds, right? 6 or 7 people. So
yes. Yeah, because if you have a couple that don't participate, you still have 4 or 5 that do, and it's not too many. And 7 is a perfect number. So what I was getting at was there were so many things that I was able to test in such a large community that I have those data points now, and I can, you can implement that in a group of 100, and it works too, because it worked in the 6,000. So it was pretty amazing.
So what do you mean there were groups of 7? How does that? So within Workplace, you can automatically assign 7 participants to be in a chat?
Yes. It was not automatic. We did it manually.
But you did that. You did it for.
Yeah, but we
group.
we had the students manage it.
Okay, so you pick 7 people. Is that the idea? And create your own group?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
And then there would be exercises to get them to share and connect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Gamification. Yeah.
During a specific time, or anytime during the week they can get together and.
Oh yeah, they were having their own. We wrote a script for them to have their own group calls.
Oh
they
wow.
They could do it whenever they wanted.
You're really facilitating an amazing community there.
Yeah. And then we did games, right, for the pods against each other. And then we had games for the cohorts against each other. But this entire structure was self-managed, because the community, guys in the community wanted to step up and lead, right? We would be like, hey, who wants to be the cohort leader? And I would get like 300 guys replying to that post. I just had to pick 10, then say, okay, here's your assignment.
Okay.
Go build these groups of 7 based on this criteria, or here's a spreadsheet. Go separate these people. So I had the community manage itself.
Wow. And it's all inside Workplace.
All inside Workplace.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So you had, just doing the math here, right? 140,000 on the front end. This is all Facebook ads, was it? Or just some YouTube?
All Facebook ads.
Okay. Yeah. Back when Facebook was.
Back then it was not.
YouTube now. Anyway, 140,000 in front end, and you brought in 200,000 in revenue. This is for one of the initial launches. I'm not saying throughout the whole year. And so, and you were charging $100, so it's 200. So it's 1,000. Sorry, you had 2,000 people join.
Yeah.
Right. In one of the and then
every month
50%. So you had 1,000 people upgrade to $500 a month. That's 500,000 a month, and every month you would do that, and you would get another 1,000, and within 6 months you had 6,000.
Yep.
People paying $500.
Yes, sir. Yep.
That is mind-boggling, and but were you getting a lot of referrals as well because the experience was so great, or was this all through the front end the ads, or just the ad?
Yeah, we kept the same budget for that. It was pretty consistent.
140,000.
We were getting referrals, and also think about it this way, right? I don't know the exact numbers, but I would guess that the first 3 were a warm audience that we already had that never bought
the 10K, but
exactly
$100, why not?
Yes. Right? Yeah. And then group 4, 5, and 6, and 7, that was cold. So we had to keep the budget going.
Yeah.
So it was pretty much the same ad spend every month.
Wow.
And we capped it at 2,000. We stopped. We cut it off at
That's
2.
a lot of people to manage in that challenge. That's a decent challenge.
It was
paid.
Yes.
Amazing. So then the people, what was the average time they stayed on the 500 a month? What was the attrition? Was it 6 months, 9 months on average they would stay on the 500 a month? Roughly. Maybe you don't have the data. Yeah.
I very few people left.
Okay. They just stayed
because they all wanted to come to the event.
The event. Okay. And then at the event, how many people did you have roughly?
3,000.
So how many?
3,000.
3,000 physically turned. And how much was the event? What was the cost of a ticket? It was $1,000.
No, like $4.99.
Okay, $4.99. There's 3,000 people. What percentage upgraded to Warrior Week at 10,000?
We had six months of Warrior Week sold out.
6 months sold out at the event. And I think you told me the numbers once. So it's 20 people, is it?
Yeah.
Twice a month.
Yeah.
So 20 people twice a
40
month.
40 times 6.
6. So 120 tickets.
240.
All right. So you said times 10.
40 times 6, 240.
Wow. 40 times. So there were how many attendees? There's 240 attendees in the first event so roughly 8%, upgraded, which is it's incredible.
Yeah. And we did this amazing thing with the bots where, and Garrett talks about that in the interview, right? Where he he's about to do his pitch from stage, right? I'm sitting in the back of the room. and he says, everybody pull out your phone, right? So, and we've been using the bot for notifications and, hey, we're running half an hour late, the session's going to start, right? Hey, we're ready for lunch, whatever. We're again pre-framing these guys to use the bot at the event, right?
Inside workplace, right? This is inside workplace.
Yeah, it's still workplace. Yeah,
workplace app. Yep, I got it.
Yep. So he's pull out your phone, and he does his pitch, and I press the button. I broadcast a message to all the guys in the room.
Yep.
And there's the link to sign up.
To apply for Warrior.
To apply for Warrior Week.
Was it still by phone app? Was it still by application? Like you had to speak to someone?
Oh yeah, same. Yeah.
Okay.
Same. Yeah.
So how many people applied? I know you converted 240, but how many?
I don't know.
Okay, don't know. You would have closed a significant, and they already knew what it cost, probably, right?
Yeah. Of course.
All right. So you probably 10%. I'm sure 10 or 15% applied, and 50, 60, 70%. I'll probably just rejected a certain number of people. Amazing. I mean, this is phenomenal. I hope people are beginning to see the power of creating a hyper engaged community where you're delivering results, phenomenal results for hardly anything.
Yeah. You know what the biggest challenge is, Keon, in this approach is that you kind of have to take yourself out of the equation a little bit as a coach. And that's very difficult, right? Because we always feel that, and that's not wrong, right? We always feel that what we have to give, our content, our special sauce, whatever it is that we have, is the most important thing and the most valuable thing. But it's not. The most valuable thing is the community that you build around what you teach and around the transformation that you bring.
And it's not about. So go ahead, continue, please.
Yeah, as soon as you take that perspective and you own the fact that you are just a part of the community, you're leading. Don't get me wrong. The community needs a leader, but the value that they're extracting comes from all their peers and from you at the same time.
Yeah, it's that beautiful jazz, of leadership and facilitating and empowering.
Yes. Yep. Absolutely.
Amazing. So, what happened? Let's go back. I think people getting a rough idea. I'm getting a much better, overview myself. This is we've had a number of conversations before this particular recording, but I'm beginning to fill in the missing pieces, which is brilliant. Hopefully, we're giving some clarity to everyone how to execute something like this. So, Workplace is just a few dollars a month. The bot platform. Unfortunately, you can't use ManyChat, obviously, inside Workplace. There's only a couple. You recommend the bot platform, obviously, and putting together that incredible experience and then having the upsell, and you talked about the framework, like the end goal, right, is really pitching, the future pacing. Let's go back to the framework. So let's talk about now, we spent a solid hour on Garrett's incredible case study. I think people, can appreciate what you did there and working with him and Jeremy so closely. Let's pivot to the framework itself. The framework that you've developed over the years that is just crushing it for coaches. Can you map it out for us, please?
Yeah, and I think the best way to do that is to draw it out on my whiteboard. So I'll start sharing that whiteboard. Is that okay?
Sounds good.
All right. So here we go. All right. So let me start with. Typically, when I start working with coaches, what everybody's building, right? And we typically have a core offer, and we have one entry point. If we look back at Warrior, this was their Warrior Week, right?
Yep.
The problem with that is there's a leak here, meaning there's nothing after. There's a leak here, meaning if somebody's not ready for this, we lose them. So ultimately, this is what I mean by delivering a coaching program looks like this. They come in, you deliver, they leave. This is typically how people build their course, their challenges, their coaching program. Very, very often. When you're doing challenges, it's exhausting. Like I've had a few clients that I worked with that were pretty successful with challenges, but they had to create new challenges every single time. And then their audience started to get tired. And it was just this continuous selling and upselling, and there was just no end, right? But
did you mean, just to clarify, you're saying that one of the things that when I looked into the whole challenge model is like, oh my goodness, my 7-day challenge was intense. I was giving I said it was been 90 minutes, but it ended up being 2 to 3 hours a day.
Yes.
And prep work. And I thought, if I have to do this every month,
I know.
Insane, right? Whereas what you're doing is spreading it out over a 30-day period where a lot of it's automated, 90%, number one.
Yep.
And secondly, is doing basically one call a week, 90 minutes, and that's it.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. Yep.
So I got it. Yeah.
Yeah. You want to simplify that. So typically what I do is when I start working with somebody is we keep the core offer, right? This works, right? And I'm a very big proponent of selling your high ticket offer.
So are you saying the $double is the high ticket offer? Is that what you're talking about here?
Yeah.
Like
let's call it the core. Let's call it the core offer. And I always suggest don't make that less than 5K.
Yeah.
Because that's how you're going to get an ROI on ad spend, and it's going to make it worth your while.
Sure.
Now, if you are selling something smaller for $100, $200, let's go build that $5,000 offer first, because you'll see when I'm done drawing this out, it's going to all make sense, right? But if you already have this, great. If you don't, let's go build it and get rid of this idea that your program is not worth 5,000, because it is. I guarantee you it is. So then the next step, what we're going to do is make sure that we have a continuation program that is 30 days, 90 days, whatever it is. It's a cycle. It never ends. And here we're going to create a subscription, a number of dollars per month. $300, $500, $1,000, depending on what you're delivering.
Got it.
This is where the community is super, super important. And this is also when you're on a sales call here in entry point number 1, you're going to be selling. You're always selling this. This is your big promise. One day you're going to get into this amazing community, and this is what we do, and these are the results that we're all getting, and this is how we support each other, and blah, blah, blah. Now, outside of this is your masterminds, is your one-on-one coaching for $25,000, whatever it is, right? So your events can be here. That sits behind that monthly subscription model. So we've covered one of the holes in our bucket. So now people come in.
Continuation once you've solved the product. Okay.
Yeah. Now, from a energy and time perspective, this is pretty intense for you as a coach. This here is not, because the community takes over.
All right. So what was Garrett delivering in the $500 a month? Was it once a week again?
Yeah, still once a week. Yeah,
just on one call a week. Obviously, separate day, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
Right, so it's just still once a week, but you also had the automation and the bots. So you had to create a whole new bot experience and that's where you gamified things, et cetera.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. But that's also where the community became self-managed.
That's the genius part of
it. That's the kicker. So now the second hole that we want to fill is, like I talked about earlier, is you want to create something that allows your prospects to build confidence.
Yeah, that's the $100 challenge.
This is 7 days, 30 days, 21 days. This is your lower ticket.
Yep.
But again, what you're selling is this. You're always selling this end point. Because if you're selling a 7-day challenge, then now you've got to sell something else afterwards.
So you're
now,
recommending, sorry.
Yeah, in this path, right? If somebody comes in here from your funnel, they get on a call, they truly do not want to pay $5,000. You could either on that call or afterwards as a follow-up, you can say, well, I have something else that is cheaper and it's going to help you prepare to then come into our program.
Okay, so just to clarify here, right? So I've done the 30-day challenge. Do I get a free one-on-one consultation that then the salesperson consultant says you can join my 10K Warrior Week or my $500 a month inner circle?
No, that was just, no, Warrior was a little bit different, right? Because at Warrior, we didn't have this $5,000 program.
Okay, so in this kind of framework that you're implementing with your new clients,
yes.
So you're saying if you create a 7-day, 30-day, 21-day challenge, and then during the last week or the last session is when you pitch the 5K core offer, or
correct,
the $500 a month.
No, the core offer again.
Okay, so you go from 30-day challenge to sell the core offer. And then from the core offer, after the core offer is completed in 90 days or whatever, they get to stay in your community for the continuation program. Okay, got it.
Correct. Yep.
And then you can pitch them the masterminds, the one-on-ones.
Correct.
Whatever they need. Is that
Yep. So yes, that the last call that you have here, you're not pitching, you're just telling them, okay, next week, this is what we're going to do. because we pulled them in because we told them we're going to prepare you to then come into the core offer. So it's assumed that they're going to continue. Right now, I usually create something here as well that is kind of a loop where for even smaller amount, especially because it's super easy to do in workplace, this could be like your $10 product or whatever. Somebody who goes through the 30-day, they're still not ready. They like what you have, but they don't want to pay $5,000 or $10,000, whatever the core offer is. We then move them into another part of the community that is 100% automated, no calls, nothing. You just keep using the bots, or you keep watching the same videos, whatever it is, right? So you can. This is really like your lowest tier as far as energy, as far as time, very low commitment. But again, this is powerful because we can still pitch them this constantly.
Okay.
And one day you'll get them, right?
So
this
is
free.
$10 a month or something just to stay in the community.
Yeah, just cover your cost, and now you can do free advertising inside of that community.
Got it. Right, as opposed to stay in my free Facebook group, at least pay $10 a month to stay.
Exactly.
Okay, so I'm just curious, why go from the way you've done here versus what you did with Garrett? I'm just curious. Obviously, you've made that decision for different reasons, but I'm just curious why you wouldn't teach someone like me or someone else to go from 30-day challenge to $500 a month to then offering a core offer or whatever.
Well, so here I was getting to that, right?
Okay.
So this is a framework that works for most people.
Okay.
But what I want to say is these sections here, this number 1, number 2, and number 3, are interchangeable, right? So if you don't have a $5,000 offer, all you have right now is a 30-day challenge, then we may swap 1 and 3 or 2 and 3 and say, let's go from the 30-day to the continuation program, and then inside of there we sell the $5,000 program.
Okay, got it.
Right, and that's what Warrior was. The 10,000 came at the end. So this is of course something that works most of the time this way, right? Because everybody's been educated now on selling a high ticket offer.
Yeah.
And that's already working. So the last thing I want to do is remove that, right? You're pulling in 20, 30, 40K a month. We're going to keep that going. We're just going to build something on the back end and on the front end. So now we can optimize everything.
Got it.
Right. But if you don't have that, then we can swap it. We can put it on the back end of this piece here.
Yep. Yep. So what are some of the core principles of Jurni, this whole framework? I think you mentioned that in some of the other stuff we went over. Do you want to go through that, or is this the I think there was like 5 or 6 core elements of your coaching framework or methodology?
All right. Yes. So let me go through this slide deck real quick that I put together to answer that question, Kian. So when you think about the major components of your coaching business, right? There's the message, there's your strategic seduction, transformational journey, but there's guidance that you deliver to your clients, you support them, but you also, as a coach, you want to reach as many people as possible, right? So you need to build in scalability, right? And if I translate that in words that everybody understands, right? Your messaging is all around digital marketing. Like, how do you get your message out, your brand? How do people know who you are, and how do they believe and understand the transformation that you're going to bring? Very important. And you play a very, very important role in that with your video, the videos that you create and the documentaries that you create. Strategic seduction is something that I use, and it's something that I learned from Garrett. That's how we look at sales, right? I'm strategically seducing you to come into my program.
Sure.
But at the same time, it's a good form of seduction where I know that you're going to benefit from that, right? I'm not just selling you something because I want your money. No, I'm selling you something because I know that you're going to get tremendous value out of that. Then when I talk about the transformational journey, what I mean by that is, and you will get this with your background in filmmaking, how important is it to have a script to tell the actor, okay, stand here, look there, say this. And then for your grips, you're going to say, put the light here, put the camera there, right? We're scripting this entire journey for them, this entire experience for them. That is so important. Don't just leave it up to them. Don't just say, hey, here's 50 videos, go watch them and you're going to get results.
That hits the nail, I think.
But it's so important that from the beginning, and you do that. It's funny to me, right? Where I see people understand and grasp that concept in digital marketing. They know they have to create a funnel. But then once we collect the money, nothing is scripted anymore. There's no funnel. There's no funnel on the fulfillment. And that's what I mean by that programmatic fulfillment. Like, program it, create the script. Very, very important, right? The guidance that you deliver is in the content. And if you have scripted this, then the second video is going to build on the first one. The third one's going to build on the first two. And you're going to deliver this amazing experience for them. Because you know all the steps inside of that, right? Of course, customer support, very, very important. Don't forget that. Your students are alone at home, right? You live and breathe your program every single day. They don't. They have a life, they have a family, they have kids, they have a wife, they have a job, right? So we gotta support these people. And then of course, scalability comes with automation, technology, the bots that I talked about, and so forth. So these are very, very important components to consider.
And often neglected, which is such a breath of fresh air.
Not often, 99% of the time.
Yeah, you're not going to build an 8-figure business
No,
without this.
no, no, no. And this goes back to what I said in the beginning, right? These are principles that are very common knowledge inside of traditional businesses.
Yeah.
But then when it comes to building a coaching business, very, very often forgotten and completely ignored, right?
Exactly.
And there's a lot more, but these are kind of the core things. I want to touch on this real quick, if I may, Keon, those lanes versus a ladder. There's a couple issues with a value ladder. And one, for you as a coach, you have to constantly upsell, right? You have to constantly sell them on the next rung of the ladder. There's also this idea that if I can't afford the $25,000 mastermind, I already feel left out and I already am disappointed in myself and in the program that I will never be able to get to that $25,000 level. And I'm never going to get the results that those people are getting. So there's a lot of frustration in a value ladder, believe it or not. So the concept that I have created is very similar, because if you look at it, it's still a ladder, right? In the front end, right?
Yep.
But when you present your program, let's say you have 4 different levels inside of your program, different price point. But if you present it as lanes, meaning we are all here, all of us are here in this present where we have this pain. And we're all going to the same future possibility. Some people are going to pay the fast pass. They can afford it. You may have to spend a little less, but guess what? You're going to get to the same end point. So don't worry about it. It's just going to take a little bit more work on your, by yourself. It's going to take a little bit more time, but we're going to meet you where you are financially, and we're going to get you there. So you take away that frustration, and you also take away the need to upsell constantly, because they can change lanes if they want to. 3 months in, they make a ton of money because you're teaching them how to make more money. Now they can sign up for your higher ticket program. So it's a very, very powerful framework that when you sell your lanes versus start here and then I'm going to upsell you to the next, this works way better.
It's you meeting people where they are. No one left behind, right? The philosophy.
Yep.
As opposed to, hey, you don't have the money, I don't care about you. No, this is a long game. We're here to help everyone. And if you've, can already jump to the XYZ level, then go for it. Otherwise, start with A, B, C.
Exactly. Yep. And we'll help you get there.
Now, philosophically, right? It's very, very important. I think that shift in the way we present this, I was listening to someone, I can't remember who exactly says he shifted his sales team from commission to consulting. Like they would just coaches would be the one. And on that quote unquote discovery call, this is actually a coaching call. All right. Imagine this is the first paid coaching call you're getting. Okay. How can we help you? All right. As opposed to hiring salespeople. And they went from 20 odd % close rate to 43 to 47% within a month or two, just by going from commission people who are here to close to really, how can I serve you? How can we best help you where you are now? Right.
Yep. And coaching.
I'm not suggesting that that's what you advocate, commission.
No, I do. I 100%, because I teach all my salespeople to coach people through the decision-making process. It's the same thing, right? So when somebody's ready, when somebody is a good fit and we are a good fit for them, it is your responsibility to coach them through making the right decision for them.
Yeah. And it's, I come from before I got into film, social media, video and stuff 15 plus years ago, I was in strategy consulting, ex McKinsey, Boston Consulting Group, spinoffs, and you don't do the one call close on CEOs, do you?
No, no.
It's like, I'll give you a discount if you make a decision by today.
Yes.
Oh,
I know.
it's hilarious, isn't it?
It is hilarious. Yeah.
But
I mean, there's
I
so
don't know
many.
where it began. I don't know who. Anyway, I'm sure you probably perhaps close a bit better for when you're dealing with newbies and people who are completely just want the shiny object, But do they get results? Do they stick with it? Are they the right fit? Anyway.
Yeah, that's the question, right?
It's a shift, really. I think this is your mission. This is it. I want to talk about the Jurni mission. I know we're kind of getting off topic a little bit. We'll get to the whole Jurni, but tell us the story about the vision you had for Jurni, as in the SaaS platform you're developing right now.
Like the big vision.
Yeah, the big vision. You said for this and then we'll come back to this and we'll get to Jurni. Later. No,
I love sharing that, because that's what gets me up in the morning and keeps me going. But I see this as a much larger play than just coaching, because coaching is education for adults, right?
Yeah,
that's pretty much what it is. Think about the kids, right? What are we going to do for the kids, and especially kids that live in remote areas that don't have access to education, and they are never given a chance to gain the knowledge, the basic knowledge that, they're deprived from the basics. So I want to fix that. I want to fix our educational system, especially in remote areas where, kids are now walking 10, 20 miles through the forest to get to the village, and even, spend an hour with a teacher, and then they have to go back because they have to go back to the family. And it's a big problem. And the platform that we're building, of course, it's going to be amazing for coaching, but ultimately that same platform is going to be used to fix that problem, where we can have one central location where the teachers are, and the kids can just be in their village.
Yeah, no, it's I'm getting goosebumps because my first start in the whole .com world 20 years ago my startup was education for children and teenagers, because the world's changing, right? The next 10 to 20 years, because of AI, robotics, a billion jobs are going to be displaced, destroyed. And our children, you've got, how old is your daughter?
I have a 14-year-old and a 19-month-old.
Yeah, there you go. That's a big jump in the spectrum ladder there. But planned, you said to me. It wasn't by accident.
No, same wife.
And the same wife. So that says something. I've got a 3-year-old and a 1.5-year-old. Not planned, okay? I'll admit it, but it's all good. 2 boys. And we've moved from Manhattan 3 days before COVID hit. Lockdown, officially. I think it was March 21st, 2020. We moved on the 18th, and we fled upstate. We moved to the country. We'd been wanting to move up here for a while, and it was just the perfect time for us, I guess. we just, I'm going to homeschool, right? That's, I grew up in Australia. Public education isn't the best there either. It was private school, but ultimately I know the things that they're going to be learning in school, they haven't changed the education system in 100 years still, and it's this insanity. They've got to develop polymath thinking. They're going to be innovative. They're going to be entrepreneurial. Anyway, so this is what really drew me to why we're here today, really. Ultimately it's bringing together the most incredible teachers and coaches, assembling this whole universe of of the best teachers and coaches, because they're going to transform the world. they're going to be teaching not only adults, but hopefully young children as well, you know?
Exactly.
And
Yep.
so I wanted to get there because I think it's, you know, ultimately this is our why, right? This is why we're here doing what we're doing. I mean, the coaching world is, you know, blowing up, and obviously it's, you know, we've been involved with that, working with thought leaders, you with Garrett, myself with, you know, Gary V, Robert Kiyosaki, Tony Robbins over the last 2-3 years. Let's pivot back to the 7 key drivers of creating
Yep.
hyper engaged communities. So one,
Perfect.
I love this whole ladder. It gives a 3-dimensional look at the things.
Yeah.
3 pillars.
So
3 pillars.
there's 3 pillars in building a thriving, engaged community. So we've been talking about this community, right? And we want an engaged community, obviously, because we know that the community brings a value to your coaching program that you as a coach can never deliver, ever. It's impossible. It doesn't matter how good you are. It doesn't matter how good your content is.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how transformational your process is. The highest value comes from the community. If it's engaged, even better, right? And there's 3 pillars inside of that. One, there's the experience that they have. There's, of course, the engagement itself. What does that look like? How are we driving engagement? And listen to this. We use this expression all the time. Driving engagement. Well, who's driving it? Because oftentimes we're like, well, you know, I have 100 people on a Facebook group and there's no engagement. Well, who's driving it? You need somebody to drive it. Very important to remember, right? And then, of course, the last piece is retention, because retention is directly tied to the results that they're going to have. If somebody comes in, doesn't like what is happening and is not participating, and they leave after 30 days or 2 months or 3 months, and you have a 1-year program that is necessary to accomplish the transformation that you know they can have, if they leave, then again, you're not getting the results. So these 3 pillars are very important to get the results that you know your clients could have. Okay, so the first pillar, inside of those 3 pillars, it's important to understand that this is not about more content. More content is not helping the experience, it's not helping the engagement, and it's not helping the retention. It's a completely
we all fall prey to this when we put together.
I know, because we always resort to, oh, they're not engaged, let me do another post, or let me do another class. I mean, it doesn't work. I'm not saying content is not important. That's not what I'm saying. But in this conversation around driving engagement and getting this community to thrive and to be, you know, on fire, it's not about the content. What it is consistent and predictable delivery of content. That is one of the key drivers. If I know that Keon is going to go live every Wednesday at 11 a.m. and that's it for the rest of the week, I'm going to be looking forward to that 11 a.m. live. If all of a sudden it's not on Wednesday, but it's on Friday, oh, I missed it. Or all of a sudden it's 4 times a week, and then 2 weeks later it's one time a week, or now there's a gap of 2 weeks, I'm totally confused and I'm not following you anymore.
Yep.
If I know Monday at 9 and Friday at 11, that's when the live happens, that's consistent, predictable, and I'm going to want to consume that content. So it's not about the volume, it's about being consistent and then having a predictable schedule and content subjects too, right? So now there's a couple drivers that I want to get into to drive that experience, to drive the engagement, and to drive the retention. And we touched on that a little bit earlier. Script it. You have to be the director of this experience. You are the one who knows what you want your students to see, hear, do, and in what order. So if you don't give them the script, if you don't give them the path, if you don't give them the step-by-step instructions of what to do, they're going to get lost and they're not going to get results. And it's going to give them a really bad experience because now they don't know where to go. They're confused. They missed half of the classes. They have no idea where to go. So keep that in mind. A very, very important driver of experience, engagement, retention, and ultimately results. The second one is targets. There's a reason why we do 90-day challenges. 90 days is long enough to gain significant progress, but not too long that you get disengaged from what you're trying to accomplish. So if you don't have some type of system inside of your program that allows your students to set targets for 90 days, for the month, for the week, every day, I strongly recommend you create something. Give them a journal, give them something to look forward to. Do that gap analysis, right? Here's where I want to be. This is where I am. What's the gap in the middle? And let's work towards that.
Yeah, if there's nothing measurable, this applies to everyone's businesses, right? We need quarterly targets, etc. Anyway, so you apply that for the experience as well.
Exactly. Then the next one is habits. Tied to these targets, we're going to start creating habits, new habits. And when you create new habits for your students that are tied to your program, they're never going to leave because they like those new habits.
That's brilliant. This is genius. I mean, it's obvious, and we know that habits is what ultimately creates success.
Yeah.
You need that hypnotic rhythm, as Napoleon Hill says in I think his other book, Outwitting the Devil or whatever.
I love that book. Yeah, I just listened to it again a couple of weeks ago. So for example, right, Garrett did this brilliantly with what he calls Core 4. I still do it today, right?
Core 4.
It's called Core 4, and it's daily habits. And a lot of people have created something very similar. They call it something different, but it's the same kind of concept where every day there's 8 activities that I do.
8.
Yeah.
Okay. Is this the Core 4 or something else?
No, that's Core 4. So
okay, again, what are the 8? Just give us some insight, some tips from Garrett's program.
I know there's anybody who follows Garrett knows this, right? It's body, being, balance, and business. Those are the 4 areas. That's the Core 4. And we create daily habits in each area, in body, in being, in balance, and in business. And when you do that, when you do those 2 activities, you get half a point for each activity that you do. So we also, and that's the next driver, right? Gamification. But the daily habit is I do 2 things inside of body, meaning I sweat and I eat something healthy. And when I say I sweat, that doesn't mean an hour and a half workout. That means 20 push-ups, right? And the idea is to create a daily habit, not to change your entire schedule. Being is meditation and journaling.
Love it.
So you meditate for 10 minutes, you journal for 10 minutes. Balance is connecting with your spouse or significant other and to your kids or friends. And that can manifest itself in a text message, a little note that you write. You just do something to communicate with the people that are important in your life. And in business, we have discover and declare. We would read something, listen to a book for 10, 15, 20 minutes, and then declare what you learned with your team, on Facebook, on Instagram. You just declare what you learned. Fantastic. And those are the habits. It
sounds simple, but it's hyper actionable, and I can imagine how people's lives would be transformed just doing this every day for 30 days.
Yep.
It's genius.
And
it's simple. It's not trying to take you from, where you are now to being a genius overnight or a hero overnight, but
Nope. No. And again, we're doing this because we want to drive the experience, drive the engagement,
yeah.
and keep
No,
our clients.
This is all coming together now with this
Yep.
example. It's brilliant. Daily habits. D4 is gamification, I think you said.
Yep.
No, daily accountability. Oh, let's get to this one.
And weekly accountability.
So how did that manifest? How did you implement that?
Yeah. So based on the targets that we set, based on the habits that we create, we can now create a daily accountability. And of course, I did this through bots. Right? Did you do your work? Yes, no.
Got it.
And then at the end of the week, we do the same thing.
Weekend accountability for the weekend exercise.
Yeah.
All right.
Now, for anybody listening to this and watching this, right, I want you to be creative and not say, oh, that's not going to work for me. In my program, I can't do habits or targets or accountability. Well, I would argue that.
Challenge. Yeah.
Right? Because there's not one coaching program that we built that does not have these components in it. Because if you ask me, Gus, can you help me build the community and get them better results? These 7 drivers have to be there. That's like the basics, right? And there's always a way to implement this inside of your program. It's not that hard. Number 5 is the gamification, right? Points, badges, creating little competitions amongst people or in little groups, or very, very important. Again, very simple to do, because when you have the targets, when you have the daily habits, when you have that accountability, you just throw some points at it. And now they have a point system every day, every week, every month. Right?
So you would throw in free Lamborghinis, whoever want. Would you have? I mean, I'm not kidding. I know maybe you had some major prizes, or did you have something that you don't
bragging
need?
Rights.
You don't need any. I've seen some challenges where they give you badges or they give you T-shirts once you hit certain milestones.
I think it's Napoleon who said that, not Napoleon Hill, but the actual French guy, Napoleon, that people would kill for flair. And it's true. Like, people will participate and do the work for a special T-shirt that they're going to win.
Yeah. So do you recommend actually gifting something physical as if they came number 1 in whatever
yes, but not a Lamborghini.
Yeah, right? No, we're not talking about
not for the thing.
Not talking about prizes for being the top affiliate or anything like that, but just something nominal with an emotional attachment.
Correct.
As opposed
to but it's usually something that is unique, right? Where it's a different color shirt, or it's a different color wristband, or something that everybody already has, but you get the special version because you won.
Okay.
Right. So it's not about the actual artifact that you deliver. It's about the fact that I can show off that I was the winner, or I had the best score, or something like that.
Maybe you get a NFT T-shirt or something, right?
Yes.
Hey, uniquely.io. I'm giving them a free plug. It's a whole. I can't remember which YouTube video I saw today, but they were advertising Uniquely. I won't spell it, so you think I'm trying to promote it deliberately, but Uniquely spelt very uniquely.io.
Yeah.
And it was like they were selling T-shirts where they use AI to create brand new T-shirts. Everyone is unique because they're using some software to come up with the cool design.
Oh, that's awesome.
Is that awesome? Is that cool, right?
Yeah.
And then it's like you can buy, I don't know how you bid it. I don't know, but it's like a, unique T-shirt. Or it could be unique. Yeah. Anyway, maybe we should do that. Should put some NFT components to stuff. And
you could make that part of your program.
D6, right? Graduation and leveling up. What do you mean by that?
Yeah. So for the gamers amongst us, they totally understand what I mean by this. And I mean, think about how this can impact the retention, right? And the engagement and the experience, but especially retention. If I know that I need to do work and I need to be engaged, and I need to participate to eventually graduate into the next into the next level of the program, then of course I'm going to do that. Unless I'm completely disconnected and I don't really care about the results. But you don't want those students anyways, right? But people who really care about going to the next level, getting the next level of the experience, the next level of content, or the next level of access, or whatever it is, right? Create something that they work towards. So they graduate into that next level. And of course, I use the word graduation because there's prerequisites and there's criterion that will allow you to graduate or not. So it's very important that you create that. I mean, we've done some really cool things with and you're into martial arts as well, right? The color
black belt
belts, right? So you're a white belt, then you become the orange and the yellow and the green, and you can do that in your coaching program, and it's really fun. It's a lot of fun to implement these things.
What came to mind was one of the coaches to the coaches, Taki Moore, right? I'm sure you've heard of him. He has black belt, literally his program, and he's been doing this longer than most coaches, and he specifically coaches business coaches, right? And if you're not at 10K a month, you do his case study program. I think it's $1,500. Once you're at 10K a month consistently for 2-3 months or whatever, you can get into his black belt mastermind program, which is like, I think it's $2,000, $2,400 a month or something along those lines. And, he has a 3-month trial where you pay $1,500 the first month, $2,000, $2,500, something like that. But then once you get in, you start off, if you're at the 10 to 20K, like you're a white belt. When you're between, you got a brown belt, or if you're 20 to 30K, and then et cetera, all the way up to black belt when you hit 80K a month, when you're doing $1 million.
Yep.
And he puts people, basically the goal is at the, every event he does 3 events a year. I think it's virtual now. The goal is to get you up a belt.
Yep.
Right? So within 2 to 3 years, you go from 10K to 80K within 2 to 3 years, right? Because he does 3 events a year, get you up a belt each.
Oh, that's way too slow for me.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying, that. So we're going to get into the case studies in very shortly, where we're going to show people how you took people from 30 to 40K to 200K within a few months using this hyper engaged, methodology, etc. So back to
drivers.
6 drivers. Yeah.
Number 7. Show the path ahead. Okay. You've heard me talk about future pacing already, right? A couple times, and this is what it is, right? So you're always showing the path. You're always showing what they're working towards, and you always want to talk about the things that they can't reach yet, right? So if you have, let's go back to the belt system, right? Let's say you have a weekly call with your green belts. If you talk constantly about what is happening when they become a black belt, you're implanting that in their mind, and you're pulling them towards that place, right? Again, that's going to get them more engaged. That's going to keep them, and you're going to retain those clients longer, because you're constantly future pacing them for what is to come, the path ahead, the milestones that they're going to hit, right? And then sharing what is coming. So it's very important that you constantly talk about the next call. Like the best thing you can do, especially in a monthly retention, right? In a subscription, the last call of the month, talk about all the subjects that you're going to touch in the next month. So when that reminder comes in, or that bill comes in for the next payment, they're not going to question that payment, because you already told them what's coming, and I want that. I want to be on that call, right? I want to learn about YouTube ads, or I want to learn about whatever it is that you're teaching. Just tell them already what's coming, and they're going to want to be there. So you future pace them for that. So that's number 7. And those are the main drivers for experience, engagement, and retention. Obviously, there's a lot more, and there's a lot more intricacies and a lot of unique and creative things that each coach can do in their own environment. But if you implement these 7, I guarantee you the engagement is just going to go through the roof.
No, it's brilliant. I think so many coaching programs don't cover the execution side like this. They're all mainly focusing on the marketing side. So this is what's needed, I think, really. More, I think when you hit 6 figures, you've kind of mastered some level of sales and marketing, but you want to go to 7, 8 figures, you not just have to have a shiny object, but something that is actually, delivers some amazing results and experience. Yep. So these are the key 7 drivers. Let's get into the actual case study side of things. And not, besides the Garretts of the world, you've got 2 case studies that we want to cover. One's a lady. What was her community called?
Social Tenacity.
Social Tenacity. And just kind of give, what's the main core product or service?
So she focuses on network marketing, mainly women, and kind of guiding these people with training that is not delivered by the brands that they represent.
Okay, now but this is it's a tricky one, right? A lot of people are in network marketing, and something as notorious is obviously the parent companies give you the product, but they just tell you to bug your family and friends, and off you go. So then the second case study is what niche?
Empowered Man. This is Mark Santiago, and he works with men who are in a toxic relationship. But it's kind of flipped, right? A lot of programs focus on women that have been cheated on or in a bad relationship or have bad experiences. He actually works with men who are in that situation.
Okay, sure, that's a niche for sure.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to get into that. For those of you who've been wondering, what is this whole Jurni thing? Just to summarize, this is my take on it. It is not just workplace meets the block platform, which is, you've created a far more affordable version of this, right? Where you don't have to spend $700, $600 a month to get access to that technology, because you've spent so many years customizing for clients how to use workplace and the bot platform. But later this year, et cetera, you're going to be releasing, and you have a founders program, right? Where you can get in and, just like all these great SaaS companies give you the irresistible offers, instead of paying $100 a month, eventually you can get in for whatever, $1,000, you get a lifetime access or something like that, right? I'll let you talk about that later. And the bigger vision, which ties in with your mission to, also help children, et cetera, is to eventually bring in a Kajabi or a teachable type of learning platform, and also where you can do videos like Zoom, and also where you can, incorporate, Zapier type technologies to piece everything together. So that is your bigger vision, I guess, with Jurni. Is that kind of right?
Well, actually, that is what we're going to launch in October.
Wow. Yeah. The first iteration, though, is what exactly? Is it kind of workplace meets the bot platform, or that?
Oh no, it will have the video component and the video conferencing component. So it's pretty much
and content management, like Teachable for the training, the delivery of the content.
Correct.
Will it also have landing pages, or that's the next stage?
No. So the way I see Jurni is it's going to give you all the tools you need after ClickFunnels.
Got it. All right. Got it. So minus the landing pages, which ClickFunnels of the world have got, down pat, so to speak.
Yeah. And there's so many options
already.
To
compete with them. And you have, and I asked you whether you could bring this up or not. Someone quite special on the board of advisory. Can you, mention how did you manage to bring on that high level, VC type background to get involved with this? What's that story?
Yeah, well, this is a big undertaking, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
It's not just a simple app that we're launching.
No.
This requires quite a large team of programmers, and then also to pull this off within 9 months, right? It requires a lot of funds. So I started looking for investors, and put a really nice deck together, and kind of my experience with building experiences, right? I built one to attract investors, and it became a funnel, and it was really, really cool. So I actually, within about 3 weeks, I had a couple interested parties. But then I found a company who does code for equity.
Yeah, it's
so
brilliant.
They don't just give you money; they actually help you with the development and take equity for that code that they deliver. And on top of that, they also connect you with amazing people in the industry, with their board, and that's how I got connected with this team and this group. And I mean, I'm at a point today where if I fail in this venture, it's my fault. Like I have all the resources, I have all the tools, I have everything I need to make this a success. So I'm really confident that it's going to be pretty amazing.
Firstly, congrats on this undertaking. When I heard that Ray Dalio's former seat, what was her position with Bridgewater?
Well, she managed all the technology plays and all the technology projects and portfolio companies that they had inside of the hedge fund.
Wow. This is one of the largest hedge funds in the universe, right?
I think so, yeah. I mean, I don't know how big they are on Mars, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, at least
I think it's a top
the
in the
known
top.
Universe.
It's the biggest one in the United States, yeah.
What's the name again? Was it Blackstone?
Bridgewater.
Bridgewater, sorry. It was Blackstone, Bridgewater. I'm getting mixed with Michelin tires or something. Anyway,
Bridgestone.
Bridgestone. But yeah, it's amazing. And she's working with you weekly, or advising and so we're not here to pitch you that. We're ultimately saying, look, for now, the case studies that we're going to go into depth in a few minutes utilize Workplace and the bot platform, right, which is already existing technology. So I can't wait to jump into that. But for those of you who are already salivating and want to reach out to Gus, how can they, reach out to you and schedule, a call?
It's very simple. There's a website or a domain. It's called meetwithgus.com, and that will take you to my calendar.
Yeah, schedule a call.
You can schedule a call. Yeah,
absolutely.
I have a very simple application just to kind of get an idea of where you are, what type of coach you are. Very important to me that I align with what you're teaching, obviously, because we really get into the weeds and for me to assist in building a community in something that I don't support, that's impossible to do, right? So there's a tiny little application form to fill out, and then we get on a call. And I also have, my entry level group is called Club 84.
Club 84.
84,000 a month is $1 million a year.
There you go.
Right. So it's the same. Of course, I do in the SaaS world, in the technology world, we call it eating, it's called dog fooding, eating your own dog food.
What do you mean by that?
Which means you use your own technology.
Absolutely.
It's a weird way to describe using your own platform that you built.
Got it.
That's tech. That's the technology world for you.
Yeah. So meet with Gus. I think we'll put the link up on the website there. Who's your ideal, I guess, client? What typically are their backgrounds and so on?
Yeah, ideally somebody who's already running something and has a coaching program, has clients, Remember when I was drawing it out, like when you have your core offer, but you have all these leaky buckets, right? But you're already delivering something. You're very comfortable and confident around your messaging, getting clients, right? I typically don't get into marketing too much. Of course we do, because it's important after you redesign everything. But if you're not already doing 20,000, 15, 20,000 a month, then there's a lot of different type of work that needs to be done. And that kind of takes us away from working with the coaches that are already established.
Absolutely.
I mean, we can, but it's not ideal.
But the average, I asked you last time, what was the average client doing roughly per month?
Yeah, when we start 20, 25.
Yeah, but the average, no, that's the kind of the minimum.
Yeah, when they start,
yeah. But in terms of, you've got close to 20 or, one-on-one clients that you're actually working with right now, as well as kind of group. You've got a very interesting model, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But the average client, when they start with you, what's their average revenue?
When they start, I would say between 20 and 50.
Okay.
And then after a couple of months, I mean, the sky's the limit.
We'll show a couple of case studies, obviously, in a moment. And one thing that's different is you don't just do group calls, right? It's like a lot of, coaches have these group calls, and you don't get access to them unless you pay ridiculous sums of money. But you've got a really interesting model, which I'm not going to give away. Just reach out to Gus if you want to have a chat with him. But put it this way, you can get a very unique anytime access to Gus. He's got a very unique model, which, if anything, you take away from this masterclass, get on a call with Gus to see how he has created this very unique coaching program that just gets phenomenal results. And when you see how he structured it, you'll begin to realize, why didn't I think of this model? I'm teasing, I know. I'll just say there's a certain amount of, anytime one-on-one access, and we're talking about one-on-one, that, is way below what, most gurus charge, put it that way. I think you're charging way not enough, but I'm a little bit biased. And what's the connection, right? I literally connected with Gus about a month ago. I think it wasn't long ago. I saw his ad, I reached out, and, instantly, the ad was with Garrett, it was like, I know Garrett, he's a legend, but I hadn't seen you around. So we just started chatting, and we had the same core values. We'll get into that. We literally have almost identical, acronym for our core values for our company. Rich, RI for being real, and, et cetera. And, it was just a perfect synergy here. I do tons of video for clients with Tony Robbins and, big names. And so we've created this masterclass. I'm part of your coaching program, right? Where, every Wednesday, there's a free Q&A call. It's part of the program, right? Where you've got, different experts throughout the week delivering group coaching. So it's a combination of group coaching and also some special access to you as well. And done for you services as well, right? To build out the bot technology for the clients. I know a lot of people are like, I'm not so techie and stuff. Well, that's where your core offer, delivers. So, from our point of view, we can help with creating these cinematic, everyone uses selfie videos, but if you really want to take us branding to that next level, that X factor, and scale to 7 or 8 figures, all the gurus have their incredible videographers and video editors. We've created a system to teach our clients and high-level coaches to build get their own D-Rock, all right? So cost effectively for a fraction. Gary Vee has a service. He charges about $20K a month, and he'll find you a videographer and editor to follow you 24/7 to create this phenomenal content. We can do that for a fraction of it, literally. So, we've kind of partnered up to create this masterclass to to work together, all right? To find the vision of Jurni. I'm all in. You know, I said I'll help you take this to Asia and other parts of the world, and my backyard here in New York is okay, done. But so have a chat with Gus, meetwithgus.com, or meet with Kian if you have any questions, or you want to have, you know, brainstorm on how to take your video production brand. You're already an expert, you're a thought leader, but you don't have that, you know, amazing editing team or whatever. You can reach out and have a chat with me at meetwithkian.com. I think we'll put the link up there in our on the screen in post-production. So on that note, let's wrap up here and move to the next section, the case studies. All right.
All right. Let's do it.
Awesome.